So let's say 6 sprints together is a PI. Again, that can be changed based on your organization. So a program increment we have. Then inside the program increment we have the sprints. Sprint is where the actual work is done. Okay, so then we need to do some planning. This is where we do a major planning at the called PI plan. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome back to qebro. I hope all of you are doing good. And today also I'm back with another video. So, as you know, last week we started looking at the Agile methodology, and then I mentioned about from this week we can talk about the other available versions under the Agile, like the Scrum, and then we can discuss more about these frameworks, about how we can actually use those things in practical situations. So, yeah, today I will start with this. I will use this Scaled Agile Framework website because they have a nice map here. So with having all this information about all the necessary items of our framework. So again, Scaled Agile is also again another version under Agile. So yeah, I will use this because here, as you can see, all the information are here, and this is a map. If you click it, you can go and read more information. These are linked to web pages. So yeah, I will share the link as well. Okay, so let's start like this. Again, I will quickly refresh your knowledge about the waterfall and agile. In waterfall, we will first do all the requirement analysis and then design, then development fully. Likewise, we will go stage by stage. After completing each phase, we will go to the next. But due to the drawbacks of that, as like it takes long time, we thought of like moving the industry thought of moving forward, and then they started using the agile methodology. In the agile methodology, we don't wait till one part is fully completed. Instead, we have something called sprints or iterations. So at the end of each iteration, we will release something for our clients. Likewise, there will be multiple iterations for our program. So phase by phase or iteration by iteration, part by part, we will release our features to the product. So that's the main difference between waterfall and agile. So with keeping that in mind, so when talking about agile, I mentioned about the iteration, and then I mentioned something called sprint. So yeah, now it's time for us to look at those things. So we can start this from at this level. So you can see the enterprise, the government, those things are like the internal, external factors affecting our products or our organization. So those factors are there. Like the government is an external factor, and the enterprise, then our competitors, likewise all these stakeholders can be there. So those things will also be not directly but even indirectly, they also have some control of having an effect on our program. Because for example, government taxes, those things also can affect positively or negatively our program, the roadmaps and everything. So based on these changes, external or internal changes, we have to quickly adapt to those things. So in the so this is an example of a product company. We have, let's say, our own product. So in that case, we have the leadership team for portfolio leadership and the business owners. So business owners are the ones who will do this all the analytics and decide like what are the features we need or what are the priorities of current features to start working on. Likewise, they will work on those things, and also they are the ones who will have communication maybe with the clients if they are, and likewise they will gather all this required information, and then based on those information the business owners will align the roadmap. Then we have the portfolio strategy for organization, like the portfolio strategy is also there. Then we have the portfolio backlog. So then the portfolio leadership will work on the portfolio strategy, the portfolio backlog. So the backlog. So you will see multiple backlogs here. Here we will have the portfolio backlog, then the ART backlog, and here a team backlog. So this backlog means like all the work, the to-do items, let's say. So first, like at the portfolio level, the portfolio leadership team will align the portfolio backlog, like main, let's say the features. So for each products, like what they think should go next. Likewise, so they will create a backlog with all these items, kind of a bucket with all the balls in. So the portfolio backlog is the one which will be used by the next level team to pick items from that. So let's say the portfolio leadership team will give a full bucket with some balls, and then for the ART backlog we will pick some balls and put to the ART backlog. Then from the ART backlog we will pick some balls and put into the team backlog likewise. So inside the portfolio, we will have multiple ARTs, and inside ART, we have multiple teams. So I think it will make sense. So from the portfolio backlog, a small portion will come to the ART backlog. And as under the ART, there are multiple agile teams. Each team will pick one item or multiple items from the ART backlog for their current work, likewise. So then we have something called epics. So epics are like grouping of stories. So yeah, we have these user stories. Since like in Agile, we don't write this system requirement document or specification, the SRS documents. So what we have instead is the user story. So a user story is like it gives like the description on like what the feature or what it should do. Like for example, as a user, I should be able to log in. So that could be one user story. Likewise, there are multiple user stories. So for one feature, one particular feature part, we can group all these available user stories, and then that is an epic. So inside an epic, we will have multiple stories. And for one ART backlog, yeah, there could be multiple epics, and same for the team backlog as well. Because let's say a team is working on multiple. So yeah, again, I will come that to later. So now I hope these things are clear. And then we have this agile release train. What is agile release train? So as I mentioned, there are sprint team, a sprint, or the agile team. We have the agile team. So agile team means the developers, the quality assurance engineers, and maybe for the ART, for ART means agile release train. So here also ART backlog means agile release train backlog. So agile team means the ones who actually work on these items, or who the engineering team, the agile team. So the agile team can consist of, based on different organizations, that can vary, but definitely there should be the developers and the quality engineers. It's a must. Then so yeah, likewise there can be multiple agile teams for one agile release train. For example, let's say 5 teams we have. So these 5 teams are working on this particular agile release train for a specific product. Then so yeah, likewise the developers and quality engineers, likewise there are multiple groups. Let's say we have 4 developers and 2 quality engineers in one team, one agile team. Likewise we have 5 teams. Then for all these 5 teams, we have the product owners, scrum masters, and the release train engineers. Likewise, we have release train engineers, architects, product manager. Likewise, those people are not like one person for each team, no, but one or couple of people for the whole agile release train. So there will be one release train engineer, one architect, and couple of product management team, and then couple of business analysts and the product owners, then the scrum masters. Like these people will help all these agile teams to do their work by enabling the needs. So that's how agile release train will consist of couple of the business people and couple of architects and the train engineers and multiple teams. Inside the teams we will have the developers, quality engineers, likewise. So then, and again, there are some other important things like the PI planning, the sprint, likewise. So let's say I will tell, okay, a sprint. A sprint is where we actually do our work. A sprint can consist of couple of weeks based on, again, your program definitions. So for example, let's say we have 2 week sprints. So that means like every 2 weeks we will have a new sprint. At the end of each sprint, we need to release something. The iteration. The iteration is the sprint. So we have 2 week iterations or 2 week sprints. At the end of this last week, at the end of the last day or before that, however, we need to release something. That means like what we worked on those 2 weeks, we need to release it at the end of the sprint. Then we will start the next sprint. Likewise, there can be couple of sprints. When multiple sprints together, we will call it a PI, a program increment. So let's say 6 sprints together is a PI. Again, that can be changed based on your organization. So a program increment we have. Then we inside the program increment we have the sprints. Sprint is where the actual work is done. Okay. So then we need to do some planning. This is where we do a major planning at the called PI plan. So at the end of the, let's say, the sixth sprint of one PI, after that either we can have some duration specifically assigned for the PI planning, or else at the end of the last PI at the sixth sprint, last couple of days we can use for the PI planning time as well. Again, that can be defined by your team program. So okay, we do the PI plan. For the PI planning, all these people will join, and then first we can do about we can discuss about the last PI, what went wrong, what went well, those information, and then we can get the learnings from there, and then the business people will share all the current epics we have in the ART backlog and share the priorities, and then can give some time for agile teams to pick on to fill their team backlogs from the ART backlog. Then we can do a couple of sessions to streamline these things, and each team will present their plan. So the next 6 sprints in the PI planning time, like what they will do. At this time, we can discuss about the risks we have or any dependencies we have with the other agile teams. And then based on these dependencies also we can streamline, and then we can discuss about the risk mitigation. Likewise, we can do all these things at the PI planning. And at the end of the PI planning, we can do a voting to see about the confidence, called the confidence vote. Then based on the confidence vote, we know that whether we are okay with this particular plan or whether we need to redo planning. Likewise, we can think about that as well. Okay, so then at the PI planning, we will do these things, and then teams will pick items from the ART backlog for their team backlog. So that is the PI plan, and then roughly we do some sprint level. We assign tasks for each sprint. Like since we have 6 sprints, then we will assign items from our team backlog to those sprints, and then we can start the PI, yeah, obviously, and then at the start of each sprint, we can do a sprint level planning as well, because now at the PI planning time, we just assign items to each sprints at high level. But when we actually start the work, maybe we need some extra items. So based on the dependencies, we can't do this task in this particular sprint. Likewise, there can be changes. And also, yeah, since this is agile, while we are working on the PI also, there can be new items. The priorities might change. Some production issues will come. Likewise, so we have to reshuffle these things and take the high priority items. Likewise, those plans will change. So that's all about agile. So however, then at each sprint, so these are the sprints here. So at each sprint, we will, at the beginning of the sprint, we will do sprint planning as well. So then we will again look at the current sprint items which we have taken to do, and then whether we can do or we need anything else. Likewise, we will again do the plan. Likewise, it will go for all these 6 sprints, and again at the end of this particular sprint we will release something. Likewise, it will go, and then again we can do another PI planning at the end of the 6th sprint. So that's how our iterations will go. So that's why at the end of here, you can see at the end of each sprint we will release something, release on demand, a small portion, but at the end of the PI, maybe one whole feature is released by part to our customer. So with that, the business value will increase. So that's how it shows. And then we have these features, enablers, stories. All these things are like our tickets. We have stories, the smallest thing. Inside this, we can create tasks as well. So a story is like a feature. For example, it will say as I mentioned previously, as a user, I should be able to log in. So that's a story. So the story gives the business need or the feature on from a user perspective. And to work on this story, we might need some tasks or the enablers. So those things we can create inside the story. Maybe for the development, they might need a task to enable something, and for that we have the enablers as well. And we can have likewise multiple things will be there. So then we have the multiple feature stories together. We can have we can call it, let's say, a feature, and the features will be released on demand. For the features also we can take these enablers, and there can be as here multiple agile teams. And then yeah, the release train engineer is the one who will monitor the child release train and facilitates those things, all the needs. And he is the one who makes the things in smooth line to release these items. And we have the architects here, you know about the architects, and the product management teams, the business owners. They will work on these features, the backlog and ART backlog, those things. And I mentioned the agile team is the one who are actually working on these features or the stories, the technical team. And then we have the product owners, scrum masters. The scrum masters are the ones who will help with the process to streamline the things and to keep things connected. So the scrum masters, and yeah, and then there will be some other meetings as well. So I will talk about that in the next video. One was the PI planning and the sprint planning, the next, as I mentioned. But other than that, there are so many other agile ceremonies as well. So yeah, all these meetings we called as the agile ceremonies. PI planning, the sprint planning, and some other meetings as well. All these things are agile ceremonies. Okay, so then this is like how our the agile process will be like in a practical scenario. Again, let's say the high level, the top management will work on their portfolio strategies and the portfolio backlogs based on the needs of the government and the other external factors and the internal factors. And the, yeah, based on the competition as well, they will work on the portfolio. So based on the portfolio, because yeah, for the organization there can be multiple products, but this whole team will be working on one product. But likewise, there can be multiple other products. So the top level management team need to think about all these products, and about also the interaction between these products as well. So then they will think about those things, and they will create the portfolio backlog. And from the portfolio backlog, items will come into our ART backlog. And also based on the features, current features, and the research done by the business owners and the product management team, and also the other product innovations, all these things together. Also, we will get items to our ART backlog as well. Then, once the ART backlog is done, and at the PI planning, teams will pick items from the ART backlog to their team backlogs. And then at the PI planning time, as I mentioned, we can discuss about the last PI, what went wrong, what went well, those things, and about the current ART backlog, the priorities, the other risks, all these things. And teams will pick item to their team backlogs and they will present those things. Then we can again discuss and streamline the things and about the dependencies between each agile teams. And then we can start the sprints. So at sprint also we have sprint planning, and then at the end of the each sprint we will release on demand items to the customer. By end of the PI we will have a full feature, most probably releasing from our agile release train. So that's about the agile flow. So yeah, I think we can stop from here for this video, and in the next video I will discuss about the rest of the things which I mentioned about the other agile ceremonies and the other information related to the agile. So thank you for watching my videos, and please like, comment and subscribe, and also share this with your friends as well. See you till next week, and happy testing.